Good evening everyone, this is Alan. I'm here with my first devlog for Mora. It's the game I've decided to make. It's going to be a little hobby game, something to get me into game development. I'm a programmer by trade, but I don't normally do game development, so this is something quite interesting to me. Now, I didn't do any recording up until getting to this point, so I'll just give you a quick run through of where I'm at the moment. I'm using various assets in my project. You can see here I'm using Gaia. Fantastic for building the terrain. I'll give a preview of what I've done with that. I've got various Cinti assets down here. Very pleased with the Cinti assets. So I'm using the Fantasy Kingdom pack there. I've got nature in. That's what's doing all the trees and the shrubs and so on. And little odd bits from various other packs as well. So I'll just give a bit of a tour of the overview here. So these are my islands that I've created using Gaia, and Gaia is also spawning all of the shrubs and the trees in as well using the rules. Obviously we're very early in dev stage here today. This is the afternoon's work. I've only spent this afternoon on this, so we can see some clipping going on with the water and so on, and some rendering things going on there, but the general concept's there, which is nice. I'm pleased with how it's looking. So the terrain itself with Gaia, for those that aren't very familiar with Gaia, what you get is you get the ability to use stamps. So what you can do is you choose which stamp you want to stamp the ground with, and it will produce the terrain for you. And then you're able to then extend that. So I've actually got a few terrains here. So I started off with this this middle one. That was the stamp that I did with Gaia originally, and then added all these other terrains on, and then I just did another stamp for this section just here to add another island on. The initial goal was I'd turn up in the game on this island in a boat, but then I just got carried away with making the island, and it got a bit big. So I had to make another island. A smaller one, and try not to get so carried away with this. So this is going to be the entry place for the player. So he's there, he's on his boat. Eventually I'd like him to row in, but I've got to learn how to do that first. But we'll start here and we'll just work our way up, and our first point of call will be this house here. So the idea of the game Mora is to be a puzzle game, puzzle dungeon crawler, I think is what I'm calling it. And you need to unlock different buildings as you go, and unlock the whole village, and there'll be a story behind it. And I'm quite looking forward to developing the idea and seeing where it's going to go with it as well, which is quite nice. Gaia really does offer so many nice things with its runtime. So we get a lighting system in Gaia, we get audio, we get weather, so we can have snow, we can have rain, thunder, different weather effects, which is really nice. So it's something just to get you up and running really quickly. So this is how I've been able to do what I've done here in just an afternoon's work. So let's have a walk around and see how. So we can see here nice sound effects from Gaia added in there, which is quite nice, the ambient. Really liking that water from Stylized Water with the boat bobbing as well. It's really simple and straightforward to get that added in. I'm really a fan of the low poly look of the game as well. I'm quite a fan of low poly assets in general. I think they look really good, and if they're done well they can look really good. So we'll see how this turns out, I guess. So we're heading over to the starting house here. We've got a bit of an issue with walking through doors and so on at the moment, so we're having to jump, but we'll get that sorted as time goes on. We'll have to jump out as well. So Gaia is doing a really good job here of the weather as well, and the sky, because we've got time of day, so we can actually see the sun's going down as we're walking around. You can set the time and how long it takes for each day cycle to last, and we just see a nice sunset here. It's probably one of my favourite views of this video. There might be a bit too much shine on the character and on the terrain, but I think the water looks really nice like that. It does really pop out, which is what we're looking for. And we're also able to get the moon as well. Obviously you'd ideally want the moon and the sun to be coming up in the same direction, which is not at the moment. But again, it's something else to get sorted. But It really does look nice, and you can probably catch some stars up there. So the terrain is low poly as well. You can see the effect that it's given. And all the assets here are Cinti's nature. So they take a bit of scaling, but the walls are set up so that they'll spawn in set areas. And maybe in one of the other videos I'll go through the walls and see how all this is set up, and that you can just regenerate the terrain and it'll just appear how you want it to, which is really nice. The latest update of Gaia Pro has fixed a couple of issues as well, and they've added a lot of stuff in, which is really nice, so it's well worth getting the asset if you can. You can see here, I think it's Gaia that's doing it. You've got the trees in the distance. They're not rendered as prefabs at that point, they're just pictures essentially. So they need a bit of work because they do look very strange at this point. But as we're walking through, as we get closer, it'll actually render the proper trees, the palm trees in this instance. And the sky's looking really nice with the stars. So we're going over here to a beach scene. There's a bit of a desert over there. I'm going to casually walk underwater as you do. Every good game allows you to walk on the waterbed. So I'm really liking how the terrains come out here. So you can set heights on what textures you want to appear at certain areas, and then I've got certain grasses appearing on certain textures. So you can really get the environment to build how you want it to. It's only when running around like this you realise how big the terrain is. When you're looking on the scene view and you just zoomed out, you think, oh, it's not a very big island. But then when you get the player in and you're running around, then it really does take its time to walk around. We'll do a bit of parkour here. We get to see this nice sunrise. That really is nice to see Gaia sorting the weather out there. I was debating whether to go with a low poly style sky and sun, but I think the Gaia one really does fit in very nicely. So I'm going to stick with it for at least now and we'll see how it goes. Now we haven't managed to have a rainstorm at any point, but maybe we'll get one in another devlog. I want to work on the trees as well. I'm not overly happy with how they're spawning yet. There's some areas that I want to be a bit more dense. Like here, I'd like to be more of a forest than the meadow that it is now. Could probably do with a bit more grass here and there as well. Try and make the terrain pop out a little bit more. It's looking a little bit bland at the moment. But the base is there. We've got the walls in place so we can set the grass and we can set the trees. So the hard work on that part's done. We just need to tweak and refine. I spend a lot of time in the Cinti Discord, and there's a lot of good people on there who give good advice, and they're always happy to give their opinions on things. Constructive criticism's always good in game development, isn't it? So I quite like this beach as well. I'll have to do something with this as the game goes on, but I think it looks really nice. I think the spawnings come out quite well with that sort of the yellowy brown grass. I've tried to mix the trees up, so we've got some big trees, we've got some small trees. I'm not sure whether I'm going to add the crafting concept to the game just yet. I love the idea, but we'll just have to see what happens. I don't want to throw too many ideas in and then not end up finishing it. So we've pretty much gone full circle around the island now. Again, we see these nice reeds and the grasses that have spawned here. It does look really nice. That water's quite nice. So that's stylised water too on the Unity asset store, which is quite nice. And then we can see our island over in the distance there with our hut on it, and we're we've been through a 4-day cycle, so we get that sunset again, which is quite nice. So thank you everyone for watching my first devlog, and we'll catch you in the next one.